You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
All right, we're back. We're gonna Cliff. This is where we go with your number 5, but we had another double up on the list, and you're gonna have to hold off because your number 5 is higher on someone else's list. So that takes it to me. Oh, I'm caught myself off guard here. Let's see. My number 5 is. It's very patriotic. That's my first hint here. Very patriotic. Oh no, not that guy again. Keeps creeping in here. Oh, that's not it. Let's see. Let's get somebody else. Oh, that's pretty cool, but that's not it either.
Oh man,
that's not it either.
Star Spangled Burner right there.
Yeah, let's try something else here. Oh my God, this guy's back. No, this one, the flag's going, the one I'm looking for, the flag goes from the top to bottom. Yeah, that ain't it.
Oh, that's Swamp Thing.
That's not it. Let's see. Yeah, it was something, I knew it had Reagan. Something to do with it's something to do with it. The storyline had to do with Reagan. He was a bad guy, but that's not it.
I just need an explanation for that comic.
I think
explanation is the early 80s.
I think I zeroed in on it here. Boom. Guys, you're not going to believe this. It's a Mike Zeck drawn comic here. Famous issue 332, Captain America No More. This is when he'd had enough. He quit. He wouldn't do what they wanted him to do, and he was replaced by John Walker, not Johnny Utah. And got the stripes just bleeding into the ground there.
Yeah, look at all that. Go ahead, Cliff.
Some wetness happening there.
There is some wetness.
We're right on theme.
Definitely some wetness there. And got it linking up in the corner there. It's just this is an iconic issue to me. Like, I remember seeing this and I was like, what's happening to my Captain America? What's going on? And I loved this story. Mark Grunwald just was killing it. This whole storyline is just, I bleed this. I bleed those stripes onto the floor there.
Yeah.
It's just so striking when you're so used to the heroic poses. When they show a character not being heroic,
this reminds me of that text cover. Like, it's just a sad boy.
Right. Yeah. You could say that those stripes are bleeding and it does look like blood, but it also looks it also looks like it's in tatters, and it's just kind of falling apart at the ends of it, and much like Cap looks like he's going through it, man. This is it sticks with you because there's so much being said here, and it's not a whole lot that's on the cover. I mean, you have Captain America, you have the flag, and the flag is in a certain condition, but there is a lot of subtext to it. Subtext. And it fits with the story. I've heard you talk about the story. I've heard other people talk about the story. I've never read it, but
you've never read this?
No.
Oh my
dude.
Gosh.
Yeah, I've missed out a lot on a bunch of Captain America.
This when he became the captain and had a whole new uniform and new shield, went and picked up Thor's hammer and all kinds of good stuff. And that era, just like, it's awesome.
This was on my list until very late, and I thought it's probably a safe bet it's on Seth's list, so I can squeeze something else in.
How many?
I wondered if this would be on your list. Like I think, I gave you a signed copy of this, didn't I? I got
met Mr. Zeck.
Yeah. So
how many Zecks have made the list so far?
That's 3.
3.
I will tell you, at one point it was all Zecks. Like in my honorable mentions, we'll have some Zecks. I'll tell you that.
Too many Zex.
Oh, can't have too many Zex.
No, not enough Zex.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that Reagan's Raiders comic because
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that was Michael Scott up in the box.
Yeah, let's see here. I don't know if I can get there from here.
You have to do your
Michael
backwards.
Scott.
Yeah, I swear it looked like Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
zoom
Michael
in on that.
Scorn.
Hit
That's
the
Michael
zoom.
Scorn.
Go up there at the top and zoom in.
It's Michael Scorn.
Wow, that's amazing.
Solson Comics. Is it Solson or Selson? I can't tell. I've never heard of this company. Of course, it's this is
This is
Ronald Reagan.
propaganda. This is what you call propaganda.
Yeah. Really? It made it to issue 2. I'm curious, what our introduction issue was.
Well, the first one, he had his shirt buttoned up.
He's just
We're like, what is this guy? What is his
slowly.
deal?
The whole issue is him just unbuttoning his shirt slowly.
Amazing. All right, so now we are up to Jordan's number 5.
Talk about Zex. No, that's not. One of my favorite artists is a gentleman named Mike Mignola, who's best known for the Hellboy series. So I just found this is my favorite Hellboy cover. I thought it was just kind of emblematic of his type of art, kind of bold and simplistic style. This is a gorgeous issue, the Island, part 1 of 2. It is a wraparound cover. So the main cover, you only get, this first half here, and then the back cover is this bleak white with a shipwreck and just a barcode. So taken as a whole, it's beautiful negative space image with the kind of a sad looking Hellboy looking off into the distance. He's been underwater for too long. He's got starfish clinging to his old ratty coat. He's standing in the middle of a shipwreck. He's been drinking with skeletons. You can't blame him for anything. So yeah, I think Mike Mignola is just he's one of those artists you can spot his work from a mile away. You know exactly who drew it, and Hellboy is his signature creation and one of my favorites. So had to throw some Hellboy on this list.
Yeah,
Dark Horse.
Never read any Hellboy, but I that's an awesome cover.
Yeah, the white covers with the the character pieces just on that stark white background. It is a great unique look that makes everything pop out there. Yeah, I was wondering if Hellboy would actually make the list. And I haven't read a whole lot of Hellboy either, but I know that there's some, Mike Mignola is a great artist. And he's up there, man. He's at your number 5. That's a lot of praise, man.
Good stuff. All right. So Jesse's number 5.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go. So 1991. On sale date, May 21st. It's like 15 days after my birthday. All right. Infinity Gauntlet number 1 is on the shelves. And I tell you, if you just walk up to somebody and hand them this comic, okay? And you could be anybody nowadays. They could be a collector. They could not be a collector of comics. But chances are they're going to know what that glove is that's on the front of that cover.
Yeah.
And this is George Perez again, knocking it out of the park. This story is going to have a very wide impact on the Marvel universe. Just take a look at what's going on here. And I love the way that he sets this cover up. You got Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. He's got the devil on his shoulder and death on the other one. That's not a good combo. And then the gems and the way that they shine are like cutting the cover into panels, which is, you see Silver Surfer there. You see the Hulk down there. You see Captain America, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. So that there are going to be characters that you may have some a familiarity with that are going to be popping up in this comic book. And this this just signifies the beginning. As a matter of fact, up there in the top left, the end begins here. This is the comic that influenced what we have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, that just broke all those records, and everybody's aware of what's happening in with the Marvel Cinematic U. This is it. And I mean, I've seen homages to this, specifically our local wrestling promotion, not here, but down in Huntington, West Virginia. They printed up these little cards that they were giving out to people, and they used this cover to do the exact same thing to kind of showcase their wrestlers. So it was,
I'm curious to see that image.
It was, I'll have to find it. It's out there. But yeah, I'll step back if you guys have any commentary on it.
I love this cover. I mean, the biggest thing to me is the shining of the gems, cutting all that into little panels to be able to see all the characters, and it's little windows into what's going on. It's like one of the more genius ideas. I mean, of all the covers we've seen tonight, it's definitely a classic.
This one has a similar theme to the Hal Jordan one. So like so many of these books are covering similar treading similar ground. But yeah, I will never in my life not be amazed that this is a household name. Like everyone you've met knows what the Infinity Gauntlet is.
Dude.
That's crazy to me and will always be crazy to me. But yeah, this one again, this was a late deletion from my list. It on a longer list, it definitely would have made mine. Yeah.
Great pick. Great stuff. All right. We're getting closer and closer here. We're up to our number 4.
Creeping up there.
So Cliff, what is your number 4 favorite comic book cover?
Man. We are going to throw it back in time here.
Oh boy.
Batman number 9.
Oh.
Okay.
1942. Fred Ray, Jerry Robinson on the cover.
Love it.
Yeah, it's so classic. Especially a character like Batman. I feel like certain images, motifs with Batman and Robin just exist out there. And they can be seen done over and over in lots of different variations in media. But I feel like this is one of those images, that classic, spotlight shining them in the shadows, Robin out front in his colorful costume, Batman with that, pulled with that cape over him. Just an amazing image. It's so simple, so simple, but timeless to me. I love the Batman logo in the back with the red letters and the big, that classic Batman.
I love logo. I love comic book logos. Like,
yeah,
I could just, I love that one too.
Yeah, that's
so
it's good. The simplicity. We're finding that a lot of these covers that we are drawn to are this very simplistic, clean looking covers, and that's definitely something I like. So this is about as classic as you can get for Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I like what you said about it being like, just when you think of Batman with his cape in front of him, this is the pose that you would think that Batman's going to have when you think of Batman. And I don't know what it would be like to be a kid in the 40s, to see comics on the shelf and wonder, it's just a whole, a whole like era of wonder at this point where superhero comics are just starting to really, really gear up.
Yeah, this is very much the beginning of that. And I mean, it says right on it, 10 cents. Can you imagine?
Dude, a dime. A dime. It's crazy.
So, but an image like this image, like, to still be relevant today.
Yeah.
to expect to see that in a comic or a cartoon or even a movie, you know. And I love the way Batman and Robin are drawn in it. Because Robin's still very much, you know, the boy wonder. He was still very much that kid, that, you know, barely a teenager out there.
Never even owned a pair of pants yet.
No pants.
Yeah, I love even from these early days. Batman is sure to place Robin between him and danger.
Right, exactly. That wasn't lost on me either. I was like, oh, there's Robin right up front, his colorful outfit. He's the decoy.
Target. Yeah. Get out there, Bullseye. I mean, Robin.
Especially in this era, though, you know, you see a Superman cover, he's got a big smile. A Shazam cover, wall-to-wall smile. Batman is like grimacing and hiding his face. So yeah, this is the personality of Batman right from the earliest days.
Yeah, so cool. I love that.
Good
pick.
Good
stuff. Good stuff. All right. Oh, it's my turn. Okay, my number 4.
Here we go.
Oh, I'm not ready. Let me see. Yep. Okay. My number 4 here is also, let's see. I think I'm doing a Batman here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, here we go. My Batman cover up here. Boom. No, come on. Wrong Batman.
Yes, he has a bat in his hand, and that's how you're going to put a Jughead picture on here.
It's not my fault.
Is that Dr. Fate back there?
This is this was my assistant screwed this up.
Oh, you got an assistant.
All right,
okay.
Come on. Give me another. It was a different Batman. No.
Oh, wow.
That's the wrong. That's a tough guy there.
Yeah, that's a solid.
That's not it either, but no, I actually went with Batman. This is my favorite Batman cover coming up here.
Ooh.
Todd McFarlane.
Man.
Issue 423 of Batman.
Yeah,
stepped into this cover, and it's just, I think it's just killer.
Dude.
I mean, I love my favorite Batman panel is the year 2 graveyard.
Oh yeah,
going everywhere.
Yep.
This is as close as you can get to that for a cover, you know. So just like his cape work is second to none. So I love this. The girl's like nobody. It has nothing to do with the story inside. He just did the cover and saving some girl apparently, but all the bats, the simplicity, as much as the cape is going crazy, it's still a pretty simple cover. Just the sun
and
the cow, the face area, being all blacked out.
I love that. Yeah. I started when I'd go over to my grandma's on the weekends. She would have like reams of paper. So I would just grab a pencil and just start drawing things. And one thing that I learned was how to draw eyes by McFarlane, which are just triangles, but they look so mean, and you can angle them certain ways to make them, emote certain things, and then just make the face completely black. And it works. I mean, this looks fantastic. Not only that, you got this moon, this massive moon in the background, these bats flying all over the place. And again, it's just Batman all over. It really, really is.
Love it.
And you can definitely see the Spawn. You can see where Spawn's going to come. Yeah. He will evolve out of this into Spawn for sure.
Yep.
I even love his signature, his little Batman McFarlane.
It's great.
All right. Okay, now we got Jordan's number 4.
My number 4. My number 4, first appearance of one of my favorite characters on this list. I had to get him in here somewhere in the top 10. Matt Murdock, Daredevil. number 232, right there in the Born Again storyline.
I was going to say, that's some Born Again stuff.
Yep.
So this was scripted by Frank Miller. This is drawn by David Mazzucchelli. It's just matte, again, shaded in black in the foreground. We've got Nuke, the villain, in the background with the American flag and the giant eyeballs, and between them is a wall of flame. Matt's life has gone down the tubes these last few issues, and he's fighting his way back. And even the panel box is, him pulling his gloves on and standing back up. So, yeah, again, Daredevil there's a number of covers I love from Daredevil, but this would have to be my top.
Yeah. I'm curious as to how many American flags are going to be showing up in our total of 40 picks that we have here, because there's been a few already.
Yeah.
I remember reading this story. For the podcast. And Nuke was, what a character. And this, I remember seeing this cover too. It just really, it's a crazy looking cover. Like, who in the world, is this a flag with eyes that's going to give Daredevil problems? What is going on here? But yeah, man, God and Country. It's a good cover, man. Solid stuff.
And again, blacking out much of the costume except for the logo and maybe the horns.
And it looks like it's the fire behind him that's lighting him. It gives the fire life in that aspect.
Awesome. I love it. Love it. All right. Now, Jesse, your number 4 was Cliff's number 5.
Okay.
So Cliff, you guys can both
Cliff, why don't you go ahead and share your screen if you would?
Okay, hold on just a second.
So this was our only other double up, I believe. We had 2, G.I. Joe number 1 and this one coming up.
There we go. Crisis on Infinite Earths, number 7.
So this is actually my number 3, but double check that, make sure. Did I send you the wrong thing?
Yeah, no, that's not the list you sent me.
This issue has problems all over it.
I apologize. You'll be all right.
No, let's just roll with this because I'm perfectly fine with it.
All right.
So go for it, Cliff. Tell me what's going on here.
So yeah, classic cover, George Perez. I've got I pointed out a few minutes ago, I've got this one sitting graded behind me. My wife gave to me as a present. I think we talked about in a previous episode, but October 1985. This is
forgot you.
Yeah, 9.8, right? Yeah, just a great George Perez artwork. Superman, devastated, holding a lifeless Supergirl right up front, and then that George Perez style in the background. Just the enormous amount of characters drawn back there, and just layers of heroes behind them, so from all over the place. But yeah, I mean, this is a classic DC cover from one of the biggest events they ever did. It's one of those monumental scenes in the history of DC Comics.
It really is. Yeah, this is Crisis on Infinite Earths number 7. This was the cover when you guys said, hey, take part in this event that we're going to do, Jesse. We're going to talk about our favorite covers. This was the first one that came to mind. And I don't know if you guys are keeping count, but Superman's showing up quite a bit here on my list. And this crisis,
trying to get on mine.
this crisis issue, just look at the despair in Clark Kent's face.
That's Clark Kent?
Well, sorry, Superman.
I didn't recognize him.
Just look at the despair, and you have, this is Supergirl dying. That's kind of a big deal. At this point in Crisis, all bets are off. you know, what's going to happen next? Is the Flash going to die or something? What, you know, what are you going to expect here? What's going to happen? So that was the other thing that you already mentioned, Cliff, was the multitude of people in the background. Now that is classic Perez, man. That is that's kind of how I built. I went from a single character, Superman holding, you know, Thor's hammer and Captain America, and then we have Infinity Gauntlet with some more people on the front, and then we have this. Count the people in the background. No, don't do that. We'll be here for a while because there's probably at least 50.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. Think about that, the detail. And I can see clear up here on the left-hand side. That's Deadman. I mean, you know, there's, it might be because there's a big deal on his chest, but you know, you can pick these people out. It's not like they're just little sticks with heads. These are clearly superheroes that we know in the DC universe. This is unreal. This is what I think this has got to be top 5 Perez covers for anybody's list, at least.
Yeah, and I was like how when an artist draws Superman, I like that. I mean, he's very muscular, but he's not overly bulky. Like he's very powerful. He looks strong, but he looks fast and quick and that, you know, that's very much
that's
the
Perez.
image
That's how he likes to. He's got, most people are pretty slim, you know, but it's a amazing cover. I mean, that is iconic.
So iconic that it's another one that has been aped and parodied and lampooned by everybody. Absolutely. Including Michael K. Easton for an issue of our Short Pants Romance back in the day.
Yeah. He's the biggest ape we know.
Well, bread to ape one here. I don't understand. He was a loaf of bread at one point, wasn't he?
That was his arch enemy, Brad.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Carbs.
My bad.
Carbs. All right. We kid. All right. Sorry about that, Jesse. I flipped you.
You're right, man. That's okay.
I flipped myself too on one. I just didn't just let it go. Let's see. So now we are at, I don't even know. Number 3s?
Yeah, 3.
Wow, okay. So Cliff, you get to chart us off here with your number 3.
Okay, no problem. I'm sharing a lot of screens here. Oh, there's a familiar issue.
Oh boy.
Back to that Joe. G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. Again, Volume 1, Marvel Comics, number 21, Silent Interlude. The weird thing is when I was a little kid, back in 1984, I bought this my grandmother bought it for me off a spinner rack in the grocery store that used to exist across from their house when I was growing up. So this is just one that I picked up before I could read.
Well, you didn't need to.
I was going to say you didn't need to.
This was perfect. It was perfect for that.
The perfect choice for me. And I vividly remember that. I vividly remember just looking at the pictures and being, you know, able to follow the story just through those pictures. So this was the Jordan, you know some history on this one too. This is the famous Larry Hama issue that he did it because he was in a hurry.
I don't know how much mythology has sprung up around it, but I think that's the story.
Well, embellish it. Make it even wilder in this telling. He had to pee really bad.
Yeah. The most,
but I'm sure it got letters in the letters column of like, what a waste of 60 cents. There wasn't even any words in that one. Like, if people didn't quite know what to make of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So
but this year is the 40th anniversary of G.I. Joe, and they're putting out a tribute 40th anniversary issue, and it's this one. and they're going to have a bunch of different artists redraw it, basically a different artist for every page. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
I love when they do that.
That is awesome.
Put me down for that, baby. Jeez.
Okay.
But as a cover, we've talked about the Uzis. We've got one here.
Oh yeah.
Gotta have a good Uzi in there.
Yeah, Snake Eyes hanging off the side of a building or something there, and just a textured background below him, but you can see the fire coming out of that gun, and the reflection. He's drawn in yellow and orange hues here as the reflection from the bullets and the fire laser coming out of that thing. So pretty cool. It's just
first appearance of Storm Shadow. It's the first time he showed up. So
wow.
Yeah,
kind of the beginning of that. We saw the tattoo on Storm Shadow's arm match Snake Eyes' tattoo. So kind of the beginning of the whole brotherhood of them.
Yeah, so Snake Eyes is sent in to rescue Scarlet, who has been captured by ninjas, and that's the story in the book. And it's just like I said, and immediately I still have it. It's all beat up and in terrible shape because I read it 100 times and toted it all around when I was a little kid in 1984. But this was one of the first thoughts I had when you mentioned this a long time ago, was this issue specifically. And I know it's it's a very popular issue, and everybody has probably seen the cover, but man, it's just so good, and it just means so much to me. Still to be, I found it a few years ago in a box that I didn't even know I had. With some other comics from back then that were the first ones I ever owned, and there it was, just tucked away. And so it's bagged and boarded now, and the shape it is, but yeah, it's definitely something special to me.
The most unusual G.I. Joe story ever. Yes, indeed. And I will say, when we do our final count of American flags on our covers, we will count the G.I. Joe logo. Because that's going to happen. Yeah,
I think you got Klaus Janson there, but I think he probably inked it. He was big inker. I think that this is Ed Hannigan.
Okay. Because I had trouble, actually everything I looked up, that was the only name I could find. And I was I wasn't sure that was right.
Yeah. Jansen inked so much stuff. He did do covers, but Ed Hannigan did a cover I'm about to show. But yeah, I believe he did this one.
So, this in the middle of the massive marketing machine that was G.I. Joe back then. I mean, we had toys, we had the cartoon, we had the comics. I was a toy guy first. No, I was a cartoon guy first, and then the toys. So, but I remember, and I don't think I shared this. We were talking about a G.I. Joe comic earlier. I got issues 3, 4, and 5, all three of those, all at once from some kind of another ridiculous, probably playground trade. But I remember issue 3. I mean, it looked like this comic had been sitting in the back of somebody's car, right in the window where the sun could just shine right down on it and discolor everything. Right. But yeah, that issue right there, great cover, featuring Snake Eyes, Uzis. It's beautiful.
Love it. Okay. My number 3. All right, let's see here. This one is a classic to me. This is the stuff right here. This is, you got think sharpshooter.
Okay.
He has a guy that he actually loads into his bow. But no, that's not it.
I swear, if there is more than 2 of these covers,
that's definitely not it. That's not it. Let me get more specific. I'm looking for Hawkeye, and he has the bug guy. And no, that's not it either. This isn't right.
How is this possible?
Oh, Okay, I got it here. I was just kidding around, but I did find some funny covers. Avengers 223, Ed Hannigan and Klaus Janson, right on theme here, following up G.I. Joe 21. This, guys, this is like barely a year into my comic reading, collecting. And it's my favorite run of Avengers, of course. And whatever you started is your favorite. But when I saw this cover, it was a standalone story in the middle of this great run that was going on. Hawkeye was like at the circus or whatever, and kind of runs into Ant-Man in the middle of, they stumble into the Taskmaster.
Happens all the time.
Causing trouble. And when these guys join forces, somebody's going to get it. They're going to get it. What a genius idea here, and the perspective of this shot. It's just like, it's one of the best covers ever to me, obviously. And anybody else have just show up on any lists when you were looking at them? I know seems to be popular.
Yeah. Also used in the movie was that Civil War. They did the they did the thing.
Right.
Just reprinted. They do those little Marvel-verse digests of like classic stories, and the Hawkeye one came out right when the show did, and this was one of the ones of the 5 or 6 Hawkeye books they included. This was one of them, of course. And one of my favorite things I ever did at the store was a free comic book day. It would have been maybe it was when Civil War had just come out.
Yeah. And
I had my friend was in a Hawkeye costume, and he had a bow and was out getting pictures and waving. And we got my nephew an Ant-Man costume, and we built a big cardboard arrow.
Oh yeah.
That was like 3 feet by 4 feet or whatever. So he sat on the arrow, and at the right perspective, you could get a cool photo of him riding the arrow. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, we got another white background here, and then we got I remember this popping up just like you said on some lists. It is a very, very memorable cover, and what is Ant-Man going to do? Where is he heading? Where is he heading?
I got a bow at 4-H camp and came home, and I stalking the neighborhood, just walking around with that freaking bow. My neighbors were so happy when I switched to the trash can lid.
Very good. I gotta say, the only way you could improve that cover is if Ant-Man was riding an Uzi.
If he had an Uzi laying on that arrow,
a tiny Uzi on the arrow.
How'd you like to get shot with an arrow that had an Uzi on it? Man, that to dig that out. What do you got in there? You had an Uzi? Okay. All right. Jordan, what is your number 3?
Number 3, top 3, we're telling me. All right. Well, one of my favorite characters of all time is the monstrous Swamp Thing. So he is known for horror and has so many covers that are dark and dreary and horrific and macabre. But I went with the one that's lovely.
Oh,
Swamp Thing number 34. The kind of the peak, I feel, of the Alan Moore run on the title. A painting by John Totleben. It's Swamp Thing embracing Abby Arcane in the middle of the swamp, and it's just a gorgeous painted cover with lizards and frogs and butterflies, and we're in the middle of the swamp, but here's this beautiful Abby in the arms of the man she loves. And it's just a classic issue. It's one called Rite of Spring, where she loves Alec Holland, but they can't express that love. he's a giant swamp dripping creature. So he grows a hallucinogenic tuber for her to eat. And the whole issue is her taking a trip. And it's a way for them to share intimacy. They can be in each other's minds and embrace, and it's just the trippiest issue you'll ever read, and the most romantic, and with a cover to die for.
Yeah.
Just love this one.
Painted covers are great, man. I mean, they really, really are. They stand out from everything else that's on the newsstand or, on the shelf because it just sets itself apart. And this is
so wet. I love it.
Oh, look at that. I mean, they are like
swampiest.
Love me a swampy wet cover.
Right there. Chest deep, baby. Swamp Thing. I mean, Alan, you talk about the stories inside Swamp Thing. Never read too many of them, but I did read some of the most iconic ones, specifically the Autopsy, and that was some good stuff, really good stuff. But yeah, beautiful artwork here.
Love it. Good stuff. I need to read Swamp Thing. I've read like an issue here or there, and it was always out of context. I need to start at the beginning and read it. All right. So Jesse, I know this was really your.
I'm perfectly fine with putting this at number 3.
Okay, so let's see it.
This is, this is something that
is throwdowns in Jesse's list.
Right. Well, somebody definitely got threw down on this one. They have been thrown, sir. And that is Superman number 75, The Death of Superman.
We all remember this.
Yeah. If you were a comic collector in the 90s, you're probably trying
Even
to
if you weren't. This was probably the first issue you ever bought.
Right. You were putting your kids through college on this. Plenty of graduates.
My mother went into Alonzo's and paid $8 for this off the shelf.
Wow.
First comic she ever bought.
Yes. And I was like, Mom, it's probably not worth it. She's like, I'm going to get one. I didn't even buy one, but my mother did.
Holy cow, man. That is great. That is unreal. Yeah. I mean, looking at this cover, the cover says it all, just like it should. The tattered cape, blowing in the wind, almost as if, we have it's a marker for like this makeshift grave.
Could be a flag.
It could be very much be a flag. And then you got the people in the background look like mourners almost. And the words below, the death of Superman. This is.
I love that. The wind, the hair, the tie, everybody's hair is blowing. Things are blowing the same way there.
Right. And it is synonymous with one of the biggest events in the 90s, especially in DC Comics, the death of Superman. And then I don't know, was it next year he came back? It wasn't too long after that, but this
in that year though, I remember it being on when this came out. I remember it being on the local news.
It's on the news.
And showing, people lined up to get it.
Showing Jordan's mom walking in.
Yeah. With their $8 in hand.
Yep. Big event. Classic cover. Again, iconic. That everybody remembers this cover. It's the simplicity of it, again, is what does it. It's like you don't need anything else.
Yeah, I don't know if you that final panel of his bruised body, like if that was on the cover, I don't know that it would have been as striking.
Right. Right.
No. Him in a heap. Yeah, I don't know. You don't need that. Like that is that's enough.
1992 on sale date November of 1992. All right.
Of course, what's funny is that's it's supposed to be his cape, but is there an S on his cape? I think they're really getting away with something here.
No, what?
It is. There's an S on his cape.
That's his underwear, actually.
Oh, it's his underwear. He blew out his underwear. They're in tatters.
Oh man, it really was doomsday. Oh boy.
All right. Wow, we're up to we each only have 2 left.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Exciting. So Cliff, you're going to start us off with your number 2.
Okay, sure. Might be a little surprise here.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. This is Battle of the Planets.
I thought you said it was going to be Battle of the Network Stars. I was excited to see who was on there. Chachi.
Maybe. No. This is
pretty.
I want to see an Alex Ross Chachi painting.
Oh yeah.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Joni V. Chachi, Dawn of Justice.
Battle of the Planets is a weird thing for me. For a very brief point in time, this was adapted into Battle of the Planets from from Gatchaman in Japan, but it was brought over here, among a slew of Japanese shows at the time, and made into American versions. But this one, it was on TBS when I was very young, and really kind of sunk its hooks into me. It was one of those things that not very many people I knew had seen, and I thought it was something really special. Like at the time, I'd never seen anything like that style of art and cartoon. And when I remember this coming out and being in an asylum and just being like, or not, I think on a reprint, I saw it and I was just like, oh, Battle of the Planets. Like, I hadn't thought about that forever.
Well, tell me about the property, because I have no clue. I know I've heard of it, but I have no idea what's going on in the property itself or what's going on.
It was one of those shows in the 70s that was, from Japan, that I can't think of the guy's name that bought a bunch of the license because he figured it was cheaper to buy shows from over there, bring them over here, and rewrite the script and redub the voiceovers on it, with all new talent, and make something new almost out of it. Cut out the adult parts or the ultra violent parts for American kids TV audiences. And this was one of those shows, Astro Boy, and this was called Battle of the Planets. It was called G-Force over here. Originally it was called Gatchaman. There's actually a live action movie version they did a few years ago over in Japan. And Voltron, all those shows were all the same idea behind it. But this is the one that I loved the most. It was very much they dressed in bird costumes. They were superheroes. They all had some kind of special vehicle, and fought the villain. And it was just very stylized, much like this cover here, kind of an actiony type poses, introducing you to the team, more or less. But I just love, it's Alex Ross, of course, again, but I just love that image. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about this.
And he can translate a very silly or kiddie looking property into, they look like heroes. It's very heroic look to.
Yeah, and one of the other issues that came after this in the series, there's one of them in like their 70s teenage version, no superhero costumes, and it's like, oh my gosh, like that looks very dated. But even to this day, it's just one of those things from your childhood that when I see it, I'm like, that is awesome. I remember that, and I remember how much I was into it as a little kid running around. And and the only thing I could ever find in my childhood related to it, I had a puzzle that was a G-Force puzzle, and it was the only thing I ever had. I had it forever, but there were no toys. You couldn't get it on on video or anything like that at the time. So all I had was this brief run when it was on television, and I remember watching it, and years and years and years later to find out there's this whole fandom behind it, and to where they started making this is 2002, but they started making comics again, and eventually there was a movie that looked visually looked awesome, just like came off the pages here. So
nice. Alex Ross, you can't go wrong. I'm telling you, the guy can make anything.
He can paint a picture.
Yes, he can. He can definitely paint a picture, and here he has. That's a good cover, man. It really is.
Good stuff. All right, my number 2. I don't have any more gag covers.
Are you sure?
This
is a bit already. Not that kind of gag.
No, I really don't. No, I'll tell you about it, though. When I first got into comic, like my grandma used to bring us some Archie comics when I was young, when we pick her up for church. And then I've told the story before. We visited some relatives, and some kid's dad made him give me his whole box of comics, and I got, it's just a sad story. That's this guy is my arch enemy if he ever finds me.
He's cursing.
I got his whole box of comics, and I walked out of there and never saw him again. And,
wow.
So I read those comics for like a year before I found them in the wild, where you could actually like buy comics they were on spinner racks and stuff. And I remember seeing a spinner rack, walking up, seeing this cover, and recognizing Captain America on it. And I was like, okay, there's that guy. Wait, he's with a bunch of other people. And I was blown away. So this is a very iconic cover to me. It's Avengers 217. And I was just like, what is going on? He's with all these other people and they're facing off against someone. I don't know who that is either. And there's the Quinjet in the background with the lights shining, the shadows, and just like it just stunned me, and I immediately was like begging to buy it, and picked it up. And it's right after he had the whole trial of Yellow Jacket, and he's been so, this is why I've always had an odd perspective on Yellow Jacket, because it was after he did all the bad stuff.
Right.
And now this issue, he is misunderstood. He's trying to help Egghead's niece, and she's being controlled by Egghead, and he can't explain it to the Avengers. He has to fight them to save her, or Egghead's going to kill her. And so the end of this issue, he fights all the Avengers and is like taking them out. It's a just incredible issue. And really, I wonder if I had not found this issue, if it wouldn't have sparked my love of comics, because it's so good. It's such a one guy against everybody trying to do the right thing. And it's amazing. And it started me collecting comics for years to come. So
interesting that this would have been your introduction to Thor, Iron Man, Wasp.
Yes. First time I'd ever seen them.
That's awesome.
So this was 81.
No kidding. I mean, we're just looking at the cover. You got these heroes going to be fighting against, well, what was one of their own, right? This is
right. You see up that's the membership up in the top left corner. It's those 5 people, and these are like the original Avengers minus the Hulk. This is the team. So it's as many different, it's funny because as many different groupings of who's been members in the Avengers. The time that I connected with them, it was back to the OGs from the beginning. So, which was, great for me, I'm not attached to an oddball group of Avengers. It was the core people there at this time. So
did you say who did it?
Bob Hall. Bob Hall did the cover and wrote the story, I believe.
Okay.
So he did it all. I met him a couple of years ago and signed it. I told him that, how impactful it was to me at the time, and he just loved. He told me a story about how, when Hank hit the Wasp, and Janet, and how he's like, they didn't like after the fact, they were blaming him for how bad the hit looked, and he's like, you guys told me. He's like, I just followed explicit instructions, and it blew into a big thing. That created a big thing about Hank. So it was neat to get to talk to him and tell him what this meant to me. So yeah, this is big. This was all almost my number one. It's always been an important one to me. I have several copies of this one.
and we've joked all night about recurring themes and funny stuff, but like I feel like the biggest recurring theme for us is the era.
Yeah.
This whole list is very heavy 80s to 90s. And I think there's very good reason for that. Those were the formative years. Those were the most important in our formation as fans. So, yeah.
Right.
I'll take it all day.
All right, Jordan. What is your number 2?
My number 2, is that another DC book this high on
What?
my list?
What?
How is this possible?
It was a mistake. You got your stuff shuffled. I'm sorry. Did I screw something up?
I got the Animal Man from Grant Morrison's run.
Yeah, I love this.
Issue number 5. Brian Boland had a string of terrific covers. This is my favorite, obviously. When my collecting, I didn't buy a ton as a kid, so I felt there was always something missing, especially reading Wizard magazine. And a lot of times they'd have, the top 100 this stories or the top 100 single issues or the top, and I would either clip them out or make note of them somehow. And then as I got older and was able to go to comic shops or comic conventions, I tried to fill in holes of these classic issues I had missed. So one of their picks I remember was Animal Man. I think it was 15 or 16. It's a famous issue where he's trying to save a pod of dolphins. And I found that one in a back issue bin, and they had a whole bunch of Animal Man books. I thought, oh, there's that classic issue, they said. And I'm kind of flipping through, and here's this one. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's that weird, we got Animal Man basically on a cross, again, a recurring theme. It's a tire tracks in the desert. They're making a cross. Animal Man is laid out on them. And we have that weird, like, Daffy Duck artist hand who's with a paintbrush filling in the, if you were this classic, the pencil eraser would erase Daffy's bill or whatever, like that kind of thing.
Right.
It's like a MC Escher.
Yeah. So I bought this issue instead of the one they told me was a great issue. I'm like, I'm buying, I gotta know what this is. So it just drew me, and I went and I ended up buying the whole run. Grant Morrison was on it for 26 issues, I think, and just some of the craziest comics I ever read. And so this one, it's called the Coyote Gospel, and it's basically a riff on like the Looney Tunes idea, and it's basically a coyote god who is killed over and over again and just keeps coming back to life, in the same way Wile E. Coyote would fall off the cliff over and over again. So and they use the Looney Tunes idea to say a few things about religion as well, which I don't know that I'm smart enough or have read the book recently enough to accurately portray, but it literally changed the way I thought about religion. And that's a heady subject, right, for a comic book to do. But and how many people can pinpoint a time, when did you have a major shift in how you thought about philosophy or religion? Like, I know when it was when I read this book and thinking about Bible stories and how they're presented to us as kids, and the horrible stuff that's in the Bible, the murder and destruction that is somehow sanitized into kid-friendly cartoons, and what that means, and how these stories are presented to us, and didn't end my faith or anything, but it made me view things from a different perspective. So thank you, Grant Morrison, for opening my third eye with your trippy writing, and thank you, Animal Man, for being one of my favorite characters of all time. I love when Animal Man pops up. So yes, Animal Man number 5.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if he popped up every once in a while with a pair of pants to go with his jacket.
It's a great jacket. Great jacket.
Yeah, you don't see too many covers that include like the creator or parts of the creator like we have here. And
this is issue 5. By issue 26, Animal Man meets Grant Morrison. So this is already starting that.
Seriously.
Yeah, he has a conversation with Grant Morrison basically by the end of this. So.
That is great. Yeah. That is great stuff. It's a neat looking issue, man. It's it's got that, like, he kind of cheaped out. He didn't have to half of it.
That's a smart artist.
All right, right.
All right. So, Jesse, what is your number 2?
Number two. Well, okay. I am a fan of crossovers, and there's no bigger crossover than Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. So this cover presents two of the most popular superheroes that, I mean, there was no possibility that these two would cross paths, right?
Right.
Until something magical happened. DC and Marvel agreed to present the battle of the century. That's right. It's right there at the top. You can see it. Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. And now just, I don't know. I was born in 78. So this hits in 76, like early 76. But could you imagine like being a kid back then, seeing this on the, first off, it's not your regular size comic book. It's big. Treasury. Is that the word, Jordan? Am I using that right? Yep. Treasury size.
$2.
$2 big for a comic book. I mean, you wouldn't see stuff like that again until the 90s.
$1 for Marvel and $1 for DC.
That's right. That's right. So it's going to stick out on the shelf. And not only that, but it is going to finally settle those playground arguments. Who would win in a fight, Superman or Spider-Man? Well, I think we all know who would win, but you know, this are we going to get the answers in this comic book? You look at that cover and you're like, it's on. Spider-Man and Superman are going to go at it. Man, Ross Andrew coming through with just Dick Giordano on the inks. I have a copy of this, and I think I may have shared this. I don't know, but I have a copy of this given to me by Golden Age Dave. He and I did a swap of some serious comic books one time, and he gave me a copy of this.
Most of your collection is from trade.
It is too. We did a great trade. The cover is detached, but it's whole. I mean, the cover is all one piece. It's just detached from the comic, and it is currently. I did have it in a frame, sitting on my wall until I blame my wife. She needed the frame for something. So now it is, you can't put this in a comic book box. You just can't. It ain't gonna fit. Yeah. So it's in my underwear drawer in a nice comfy spot underneath a lot of socks. It's not going to get damaged. Nobody's going to be rummaging through there. But this is my gosh, just imagine this is the first, right, of the two superhero companies coming together, other than Wizard of Oz, which I know we've talked, that's like DC and Marvel coming together just to do a Wizard of Oz story. But this is their first meeting of our two flagship heroes. Am I correct there?
I believe so.
All right.
No
So
idea.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hey,
we're not that picky around here.
Crisis on Infinite Earth 6-7, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But there you go. Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man #1.
Gorgeous.
Once again, keep it tucked in your drawer because it's not getting reprinted anytime soon.
Right, dude. Right.
There's no reason a book this historically important and this, I'm sure, desired should be out of print forever, but yet these companies can't figure out how to keep it in print.
Yeah, I mean, we had that golden age in the 90s where Marvel and DC were like, let's do this. We got how many crossovers between Marvel and DC superheroes, and then all of a sudden Marvel's like, we're going to do our own thing for a while, and you guys, well, you're the competition now, and we're going to put our foot on your throats, and you just, now you're not going to get these superheroes coming together. So yes, I would love to see these companies come together again to do more crossovers. I mean, I got a whole long box down here dedicated to nothing but crossover between companies, not just Marvel and DC, but Image and Marvel. But this is the thing that started it all off. And these are the two biggest superheroes out there.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. This is it, guys. We're down to our #1s. So, Cliff, what is your favorite cover of all time?
Well, it's
No
still funny.
pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. It's funny how, you went through and showed all throughout this entire episode, because I actually had the same thought about this issue, because it's been done from this one so many times in different versions of even some of the same characters in the same run. But anytime these guys kind of pop up in this form, it always, well, get the right one. There we go. But it always cracks me up, because this is the one that really started that run. We talk, going back to my number 10, but this is when it all changed from those, from the classic lineup to these oddball new guys that I love so much. 1987, Justice League Volume 1, number 1, Kevin Maguire. And throughout the whole run, it was known for the facial expressions and the emotional displays, and just showing some different sides to the Justice League. They could be goofy and weird and hilarious at times, and have a revolving door almost of members, until we kind of found that sweet spot with some of these characters. But yeah, very famous cover. Guy Gardner and his crappy chauvinistic attitude right up front, want to make something of it. There's been a bunch of versions of this, and where the guy, sometimes it's even Guy again, but or whoever's right up front making some kind of statement out of it. So, but I love, we talked about that white background. Here we are again, but I loved just the different expressions on all their faces and personalities at that time. But yeah, it's just it's always probably going to be my favorite run, my favorite story of versions of the Justice League with these guys. And when we get into throwing Booster Gold into the mix, my favorite, and Booster and Blue Beetle, and then you had Scott Free, you had Mr. Miracle and Oberon and Big Barda, and John Jones with his cookies, and it was just amazing stories that that just appeals to me very much, like that number 10 covers. Just that's what I go to, is that I want some humor in it, some goofiness and weirdness out of my group of oddball, should never win heroes, but they somehow always do. So
I love the perspective of this cover. I've seen it a lot. Never read the issue, but I've seen this cover so much. It's like, it's called almost like the class photo. How I want to stand up here and get a good picture. Everybody smile, and then you got, of course, Guy Gardner down there.
Everybody's got an attitude.
Everybody's got problems.
Yeah, that's like the Justice League are the icons. They are the gods among us. They are above it all. They are the they're unsullied and irreproachable. But like this is attitude. These are characters with attitude, and it's a whole different thing. And to have a sense of humor on top of it just changed the game. So this is in my honorable mentions. I adore this cover.
Yeah, I think Jordan, do you still have this one up in your shop?
I think I've got that one.
I know you did for a long time. Yeah. So yeah, that's
your number 10, your number 1. Is it the same artist? I don't remember, but I don't know. It's a very fun style.
No, it's not the same, but it's very.
It is the quintessential. Both of those are the Cliff.
Right.
This is what I think of when I think of what Cliff likes about comics. It's the fun grouping of slightly odd characters, and kind of just a more cartoony style. And I totally see the appeal. Like it's a gorgeous cover.
Fun.
I love it. All right, my number one. Oh my gosh. My number one. I'll say first that this cover. Okay, so I had started really reading it with that Avengers 217. And so at that time, I immediately, back when you could get a subscription for nothing, for less than $5, you could get a year's subscription delivered to your mailbox of anything. So I immediately got a subscription to Avengers and Captain America. And so Cap was at 265 at that time. So I started off with that issue, but then I was sitting at a Pizza Hut on South Side one day with my mom and realized there was a comic book store over there. It was a historical books and things.
Oh yeah.
And we went in and first off, it is a comic book store today. That what's the name of that comic store?
Multiverse.
Multiverse.
They moved into that building.
Did they really? I
Yes.
didn't know that. Okay.
I stopped there a few months ago just to talk about it with them. I was like, this,
Wow.
I love it.
Is it still as disheveled as it was back in the day? Because I remember books and things being like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die in here if something falls over.
What a way to go.
Right, dude.
I mean, that's where I went for years to get my comics and just loved it, lapped it up. And a lot of people, they have a Facebook page where people go in there and talk about memories from going there back in the day. But anyway, I was like, can we go in there? She's like, sure, yeah. So we went over there and I would go there all the time. But they had a room off to the side that was just back issues. And I would just go through all those, just buying as many back issues as I could find. And I remember seeing this issue and I was like, it was just like, what happened? I saw this cover, I was like, what happened? And I couldn't wait to tear it open and see. So let me pull it up here. Issue 224, man, is it wet? I gotta tell you, it's a wet one. Jesus Christ. Mike Zeck, believe it or not.
Oh, that's great.
But I saw this cover and was just like, oh my gosh, I fell in love with it. I was just like, why are they pulling him out of the water? What has possibly happened to Captain America? And when you read it, he doesn't even know. His hair's colored black. His face isn't Steve Rogers. He doesn't know what happened to him. And he spends the whole issue trying to figure it out. He's talking to people and getting him, eventually he figures out that he and a friend were close to stopping the mad bomb and that they got caught and were poisoned. And he lost his memory and thrown off the trail, but he fights his way all the way back to where he was caught before and stops him. But it's just, I love that cover. I love the orange sky and the clouds, and I love the dripping water as they pull him out in his tattered uniform, and plenty of flags going on here, and just got those yellow shoes of the thugs. Like, I love everything about it. I love the little icon up of Cap in the corner. It's just like, this was the sweet spot for Cap back issues for me. Anything in the early 200s would just, I love pulling them out, but I love it.
I was looking to see, you said this came out, it looks like it says, does it say 78 or 76? Can't tell. It's probably, it's Mike Zeck, so I would say 78. Yeah. Okay. If your number one wasn't going to be Captain America related,
right?
I would have just left. I would have got up and went and called it a day. But this wasn't what I was expecting. I don't know. It's a personal thing. You get up there. It's just my top two are just the personal ones to me. My first Avengers, and this, one I just happened to find in a back issue bin and books and things, and just like something that just was so odd that I've always loved. Yeah, you had to find out.
I met when I met Mike Zeck a couple years ago and had him sign all kinds of issues, but I said, this is my favorite cover of all time. And he was like, really? I was like, yes, I love it. I love the mystery of it. And
wow.
And the wetness.
Did you explain the wetness to it?
Yeah, I was like, I did. I told him. I was like, I love that.
It's all about the moisture,
Yeah.
Mr. Zeck.
I love the water pouring off of him onto the shield, sliding off the shield. It's just like all of that. It's just so that it's very animated to me. So
yeah. Books and Things has I got a lot of memories there too. I remember pulling out like the Marvel handbook. It was a Marvel official Marvel handbook but it was of the Dead. I didn't even know this existed. And I'm there's like issue after issue. And that is where I got my first ever DC Marvel crossover, which was X-Men Teen Titans, or is that what it was? X-Men Teen Titans?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. For some reason I was sitting there like, were they the Teen Titans, or maybe it was Titans? Anyway. Yeah, that was I bought that for like $8 there. But anyway, good memories there. Good pick. I mean, I could see it. It's wet.
It's wet. What more do you want? What more do you people want? You wanted it wet. It's wet.
You want the wettest? You got the wettest.
All right. I'm okay. Number one, I have really enjoyed this and hearing all these stories about personal connections and what things have meant to you, or these are the covers to my favorite books I've read 100 times, books that are universally beloved. With my number one, I swerved the opposite direction. I went with a book everyone hates. No one likes this story, but it has the best cover of all time, in my opinion. I'm going with Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 641.
Oh, yeah.
This is after the Mephisto nonsense and the One More Day. We're in the One Moment in Time story, as the marriage between Mary Jane and Peter Parker is going away. There's one, I believe it was 4-issue little storyline that was kind of about their relationship and saying goodbye, and one moment in time, or one last moment where they're married and in love. Written by Joe Quesada, who this was his whole brainchild, was to get rid of the marriage. Interior art and cover by Paulo Rivera, October 2010. Spider-Man's my favorite character. Mary Jane is my favorite love interest in comics, and this cover, I can just stare at it. It's amazing. It's the colors are bright. Mm-hmm. The blue in the costume blends into the background. Very understated, again, blank background, understated logo. But to me, it's the connection between these characters, and there has been countless covers of Peter swinging through the streets and Mary Jane clinging to him holding her in his arms, her with her arms around his neck. It's not a unique pose, but to me, it's the way he's gripping her. She's not holding on to him. He is holding on to her for dear life. And Mary Jane is his rock, and this shows that emotion with, you don't even see their faces. You barely see Spider-Man's eyes open, but the emotion is there, the connection is there, the love is there, and you get just even a hint. That's Mary Jane's classic outfit: bell bottoms, the black tank top.
That's her outfit.
Yeah, Spider-Man classic outfit, but you barely get any of that, but you get all of it. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I adore this cover. I wish it was on a better, more famous, more popular issue, but this is it for me.
I love it. The hair is awesome.
Yeah.
Looks very realistic.
Yeah, I saw this on one other list, and I'd never seen this before. And everybody knows I'm not a Spider-Man guy, but as far as art goes, it's very cool how they used that blue and blending him into the background, and then she kind of contradicts that so much. Very realistic image, but so artsy at the same time. Like, yeah, I did notice it as I was going through some stuff, because I just never seen it before. And most of the time when you go through those lists, you kind of, it's a lot of things you've seen over and over and over again. So yeah,
it almost looks like he's clinging on to her, and he's like because he's like disappearing.
Yeah,
he's like,
right.
the whole thing is going to fade away if he lets go. It's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
They're saying a lot here with very little. And it's a lot of emotion on a cover that using that, I guess, negative space. I don't know if that's the right term, but you know, they're using that complete blue background to do that. And that's really the first thing that I noticed when I saw this cover was that I was like, it's awesome how they're using that blue just to kind of mute anything else out and just kind of make him part of the background, which is, again, fantastic job. Great. Did you say who it was that did the art again?
Paulo Rivera.
Yeah, fantastic. Solid number 1, man. Great choice.
All right. You're our guest. You get to finish it out.
Well, guys, look.
So it better be good.
This is like, so I go into it and I'm like, do I go like straight up real personal? And then I was like, no, you know what? I am going to, I'm going to do something that is, I mean, it's legitimately probably the most popular cover in the history of comic books. Okay. Oh, as you're selling that pretty big there. Starch, you better follow through. Well, let's find out.
Punisher and an electric chair.
It is Action Comics number 1. I mean, how could this not be like the top of our list here? I mean, okay, you see this cover today and you're going to be taking notice of it. Now, is it because it's so iconic? Well, yeah, I mean, you've seen this plenty of times, but the other thing that's going through your head is like, I need to find out if that comic book's the real deal, because if so, I got a gold mine on my hands. You know, this thing's worth so much money. But 1938 is approximate on sale date, May 3rd, 1938. I would have been negative something 3 days before my birthday. Anyway, you know, 1938, kids are buying comics, I think, but superheroes, oh, wait a second. That's a whole new ball game. And when
the very concept does not exist.
Right, dude. Right. This is a man that is picking up a car.
Right.
All right. He is picking up a car. And, you know, kids
Cars barely had been around.
Kids are
like,
wanting...
what is that guy holding?
Why does he have his underwear on the outside of his pants? Yeah. You know, they're going to want to find that dime, and they're going to want to know why this guy is smashing this car into this rock, why these poor businessmen are running away terrified. You know, it's...
I want to know now, this guy in the corner that's freaking out, is he freaking out over the car, or is he freaking out of the muscle man?
There's a dude holding a car.
He probably never even saw this part. He just saw the car driving down the road. He was like, what is that horseless carriage?
1938.
They're like, you don't even know, man. Turn around.
Joe Shuster, by the way, on the cover. Yeah. So I mean, I had to go. This was absolutely the most popular comic book cover, I think, of all time. Now, is it my favorite? I don't know. There could be arguments there because I'm not a DC guy, but it's going to top my list.
Well, I got to tell you, I think you are a DC guy, because not only that, I count 5 Superman covers in your top 10.
I've got my stats. We will go through them.
Punisher.
Here's we'll go through the stats after we go through the honorable mentions, but I will also say that this issue popped up in one of my favorite YouTube shorts of all time, and that is Running the Asylum episode 4, The Speculator.
Throw a link to that in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the show notes, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to check out all the episodes.
Oh, no, definitely an appropriate finish to this. So we'll finish where we started.
Honestly, that's why I had him go last, because I saw that he had the most iconic cover.
Yeah.
And it would have been very easy to fill out a whole top 10 list with Amazing Fantasy 15, you know, first appearance of Wonder Woman, first appearance of Batman. Like, they're all iconic. They're all things you can recall them in your head at a moment's notice. But yeah, there's something about this one being the start of it all. and still being so clean and beautiful.
Yeah.
And just a really well designed cover that, again, would blow the minds of children who are looking for Westerns and crime books and romances and like, wait, what? There's a guy throwing a car. What is happening?
Right.
So good.
The Muscleman's daddy.
Oh man, we did it. So now we can share if anybody has a few of your honorable mentions. Jesse, if you want to start us off, since you said you had some stats and whatnot.
I'll make this real quick. So let me find my notes here because honorable mention number 1, I've only got 2. So let me make sure I get to the correct. There we go. All right, here we go. Honorable mention number 1. This is Batman number 497.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The Breaking of the Bat.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Right here, we got Kelly Jones showing us. I mean, just count the muscles. You can't. There's more muscles than people in a George Perez cover. But
that's how I count things.
On a scale of 1 to George Perez. Yeah, I mean, look at that. This is Bane just taking Batman and just bending him in half. This was a comic that I had to find when I was, this is 93. I had to find this.
Right around there where Superman died. So Batman had to take it also. Yeah. I remember collecting all this stuff back in the day. It was so good.
I lucked into finding it on a shelf at a Kroger, if I remember correctly. It was either Kroger, it was like a drugstore or something like that. Yeah. So it was very fortunate because it was hot. HOTT issue back then.
Man, that's really hot.
Double T. All right. My second honorable mention is, and I want to see, maybe you guys can kind of figure out why I picked this one.
Because you are a Superman lover.
This is Man of Steel number 1. But there's a very, very significant reason why I chose this cover. And Jordan, do you have would you like to take a guess?
Because we also parodied that one for Short Pants Romance.
Yes, it is. How did you know? This is probably one of the first, if not the first, variant covers that started that whole trend.
You started it.
Yeah, this was John Byrne. And, if you talk about variant covers nowadays, you're talking some moolah, so usually they're a rare thing to find. And this was kind of one of those things that started that trend off. So I figured that as far as covers go, and we're talking about the importance of covers, this definitely I felt needed to be mentioned in some way. I wanted to throw some chromium on there. I didn't. Bloodshot number 0 or number 1 didn't pop up on here, or neither did the Prism cover from Wildcats number 2. As much as I would have loved to throw some gimmicks in there, some die cuts, if you will. But all right, here you go. Here's some stats for you. Here's some stats for my list. But I would love, again, at some point, somebody needs to sit down and go through all 40 of our things and kind of pull them together to see what the stats are. All right, company breakdown for my list. All right, Marvel Comics comes in with 6 covers. DC Comics comes in with 8. Now this is counting my honorable mentions. All right, so that's definitely out of character for me. Characters appearing in 2 or more of my covers. All right, Punisher, Wolverine, Hulk, and Cap Shield get 2 apiece out of all of my all the covers I picked.
Cap Shield.
Spider-Man gets 3. All right, and Superman gets a total of 6 out of those. And top artist, I think we could probably all agree what I chose was George Perez. He had a total of 3 covers. So that's the stats, ladies and gentlemen.
I am surprised. I expected more from your unspoken decade. I
expected a 90s barrage.
All right,
Supreme, maybe. I expected something there, but
Savage Dragon number 1 really almost made the cut, but I got to give props where props was due, so we had to do 10.
I'll share a few here. Let's see. I sent myself a little link here today of some stuff. Okay. I apologize. Let's see. I'll share my screen. Okay. Speaking of variants, I got this one last year and I've always liked that.
Ooh, nice.
It's kind of wet.
Number of wet covers.
Yeah, I don't know what else is going to show up here. Let me just cycle through here. Classic. I don't know if you know this guy by the name of Mike Zeck.
This guy. Oh, that guy.
Yeah. May have heard of him.
Wolverine versus Cap, dude. Wow.
That's just that's a classic. That was dangerously close to the list. Yeah. But like I said, when I was all Zeck list, this was on it. Oh, there's another Zeck. Ooh. Yeah, but great G.I. Joe cover.
Yeah, that's wicked.
I think that's not an Uzi, but maybe an AK. I don't know.
That's not a Megadeth cover. Right?
Yes. There we go.
This was number 11.
Zeck.
It's a Zeck, and it's wet. And
yes, it's
I don't know what else anybody wants, so
almost made my list.
Yeah, this was about the last one I trimmed off my
yeah, so good. I always like this. I don't even know who did it, but I like Black Knight, and this is a good cover. It says "die" on it a million times.
Pretty
so
scary.
Looks like a Mars Attack alien.
Yeah, it does.
And I like this G.I. Joe cover by
cool.
Wildman.
That's an Uzi.
It's got an Uzi on it. I don't know what else you want. It's a pretty little Snake Eyes cover.
133.
That's it, I think.
I think I've got just a few. I can probably. And these are just oddballs I had collected as I was trying to make my list up here, but some 52. I love 52. So cool. Always
is that kid dressed up like obviously the question.
Yeah. We
got it's got a question mark on his tie.
Question. Little kids dressed up like Booster Gold and Steel there. But I love the little cat here sniffing them out at the front door. But yeah, they're trick or treating. So I don't know. I
like that because it reminds me of what you would be doing as a little kid.
Yeah. And if you notice, this bucket is the helmet of fate.
That's Clifford E. Newman there.
Yes.
What, me were?
Yeah. So Shadow Pact. That was a fun run. I really liked the art in that book. All the covers were really kind of neat. This is Shadow Pact 22. It's got the Shining Knight there fighting off a bunch of dudes. Another Blackest Night, talking about those painting looks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's got the Atom Smasher trying to
have a nightmare.
Jesse's gonna try to go to sleep tonight.
I need to take like 5 melatonins.
Trying to take a bite of the atom out of there. So this is All-Star Squadron. This is again with that silent interlude issue I had. Bought this off of a spinner rack in a grocery store. I found this issue a few years back, and I gave it to Michael just because it was like one of the first. He remembered me. I was having this, and I was wanting that comic book or something. So, but it's one of those that's burned into my brain. And this Batwoman, this is number 5 out of the new 52. It's a scary image, but it's a beautiful artwork. Again,
look at everything that's going on in that apparition. That is some freaky stuff, dude.
Well, and even like in the about
down
wetness.
there, I see it.
Yeah, in the water. So
you got Seth's attention.
I'm looking at my screen. Jeez.
So that there's another Blackest Night issue.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Blair
Butler and the famous Booster Gold fan club.
Okay.
cover from number 23. Here's
Not
another
too
one.
not too often where it's straight up photographs on comic book
definitely.
covers. That's unique.
And I think Jordan, what was the deal with this? Didn't you have a cutout or something at one point?
If you watch Running the Asylum, there was a joke in there about me having a shrine to Blair Butler.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
From back in the old G4 days.
Yeah, she was the comic reviewer on G4.
Right. So this is just one I thought was very cool back 70s, the Forever People. When Jack Kirby came over
Kirby's
to DC.
here. I mean,
Kirby's
when you
here.
announce Kirby's here with a freaking 3-wheel monstrosity on the front of your cover,
right? And Superman in the background,
right?
So trying to catch up with them as they're running off. So, another group of kind of weird and funny characters that I was liked. Green Lantern, Green Arrow.
Yeah, that was on a lot of lists that I've seen.
Yeah,
Speedy had going through it there.
Yeah. So I think we've mentioned that before in one of the episodes we did. I just like the artwork and the Atom and the Hawkman. This is an older one that I just thought looked really cool. The Hawkman just looks so strange in that artwork. So and then we've got some Identity Crisis. I always thought that was kind of a neat cover with the blood and the shattered picture. They always took the picture of the Justice League lineup, and that's an interesting story. And then again, going back to stuff I like, there's Blue Beetle and that Justice League International, and whatever these lizard arms or whatever they are coming up as he's sitting on a pile of bones, and that expressionism, that I love so much. So.
Right.
So yeah, I think and then there's very similar there, Big Barda and Mr. Miracle in the back, and these two goofballs, Booster Gold and Blue Beetle trying to deliver pizza to get in. And then Jack Kirby New Gods #1. I love the colors on that. Thought it was pretty cool. We got Orion on the
what
he's got his condiment man get up on Condiment King or whatever. Yeah.
Condiment King. Yeah. So anyways, there's some Perez. We got the new Teen Titans #1. Yeah. And also I thought this was a pretty when Tara joins the team and showing off her powers, and they're all kind of hovered up on that rock above.
Sounds to me like you had plenty of covers to choose from. You were worried about finding covers, and there you got a whole bundle of them.
I was trying to collect them.
Well, good. I feel a lot better about how many I got, so you can't dig on me. All right. This was the very last one that was in my top 10 until this afternoon, but I haven't read a ton of 100 Bullets, so I can't say it was a favorite or anything. But this issue is great. Dave Johnson cover. It's a story inferring that Joe DiMaggio is the one who killed JFK over Marilyn Monroe.
Whoa!
So there's a hook for you for an issue.
Nice. Just in time for baseball season.
Yeah.
I love Tim Bradstreet's ultra realistic look. He did a ton of Hellblazer covers. That's my favorite of the bunch.
It's pretty spooky.
Astro City. We got Alex Ross. Even before I had ever read an issue of Astro City, I had seen this cover, and it just always struck me because it didn't look like anything super heroic I'd ever seen.
No.
And then finally reading the issue, it is a great one. It's about a hero afraid to have a kid, about how dangerous his life is and knowing what could go wrong in the world of heroes. And just
that is a book I've been wanting to read for so long. A lot of great. Oh yeah. Oh well.
Had to go with the, a little rough around the edges. This original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, but just a lot of energy there. A lot of
how many black and white comics were on our list? I mean, probably none.
Not too many.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, the quintessential black and white comic to me for some reason. It's just because, well, okay, maybe I'm a Turtles fan. I don't know. But
this was 1984, launched a whole boom of black and white indie stuff that they never got better than this one. This was a strange cover in 1995. G.I. Joe had run its course. Dark Horse had the rights for some reason. I found a poster of this online when I was in college, and it was enormous. It was 3 sections, and each section was like a 24 by 36 poster. So it was basically like 3 posters. I got it laminated all together into one giant thing, and it was in my first apartment. So that's how cool I was in college. Frank Miller looking. Hey, looks at the Louisiana flag. There we go.
So nice, yeah. I believe Dean Compton is making a decree that is this G.I. Joe Extreme?
Well, if you see the top, Extreme Times call for Extreme Heroes. I believe that was
he's making a decree that this is going to be covered on Unspoken Issues at some point. So I have no idea what we're getting into, but I've heard it's not good.
I bought the issue well after I found the poster, and the issue's terrible. But
I mean, do you still have the poster?
Somewhere tucked away.
I bet the ladies were filing in.
Yeah.
Talk about wet. No.
I had to go some Bill Sienkiewicz with Elektra Assassin #1.
Oh yeah.
That is good.
Added the Justice League.
Oh, look at that.
Right.
Another Mike Mignola cover, this time doing Batman, and a great standalone issue that adds horror and like Lovecraftian other dimensional monsters like Mike Mignola is known to do into the world of Batman. Loki #1 from 2004. I don't know that I'd read much Thor in my life, but this is one I saw. I bought this miniseries because that cover was so amazing. I'm like, I want to know what's happened, and it's one of my favorite of that era. So,
is that Ribic doing the cover?
Yeah, Assad Ribic did the cover.
Which, oh man, some of his expressions. I remember reading. I think he was doing Secret Wars, wasn't he? Didn't he do the redo of Secret Wars? I'd have to look, but I remember some of his expressions during that, and everybody looked surprised. Every panel was like,
"That's the guy." Yeah. So yeah, this is the series where Loki wins and is ruling Asgard, and it's amazing what they did with it. And it's the main reason I was bummed the way the movies ended when Loki had the throne at one point, and then they just immediately got rid of it because I really wanted this story to happen. But this is the most modern book on the list, Ms. Marvel #1. I feel like it's rare a modern book becomes this iconic this quickly, and this is just so well known already. And it had, you can spot it from across the room, exactly what issue it is, and it has, it screams everything, young, female, Muslim, teen, hero, like it captures everything in a very simple image, and it's just a great modern look.
Oh, I love that run.
Joe Quesada's and Kevin Smith's run on Daredevil, Daredevil #3,
Guardian Devil.
Yeah. Of course, the famous Jim Lee wraparound cover to X-Men #1.
Yeah, this was in my head at one point but I mean, which one do you pick? Because you have to pick. Yeah, it's just like this is my background to my computer.
So then the rest are variant covers. Here's some homework for you to do. In December 2014, DC did a theme. They did every month was a different theme. They did a variants. And so December 2014, it was Darwin Cook month, and Darwin Cook did 23 variants that month. And they're all this sideways widescreen like landscape format, and everyone is perfect. Everyone is gorgeous. Everyone captures something. There's one of like Bruce asleep in a chair in his uniform half ripped off, and Alfred's like covering him up with a blanket. There's one of Superman and Wonder Woman under a tree like having a picnic. They're beautiful, and they just capture the soul of every character they do, and they are amazing pieces of art.
That is awesome.
Love them or hate them, Scotty Young has done a million of these little kid-friendly kitty covers. This is the best to me. Another adorbs shot of Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And last but not least is Spider-Man 700.
Look at that.
They did a word cloud of every creator who'd ever worked on Amazing Spider-Man and a cool cityscape. And I thought that was so clever and such a way to honor all these creators after all these years. So I really love that cover.
That is awesome.
That's it.
Hey, we did it. Oh, sorry, Seth. I took your stuff.
We did it. We
Did it.
I like it. Got it out of my system. Just think of all the photos I can delete off my phone now. All the images.
Yeah.
Now you got all this space for more, Riverdale screen caps.
No, I don't do that anymore. I just take straight notes now. Oh, so good. That was fun.
A lot of fun, gentlemen.
So obviously we didn't say your favorite cover. So, hey, hit us up. Let us know what we missed. What is outrageous that we forgot. We'd love to know what your favorites are because this was really fun learning more about each other and our tastes and our history with these crazy things we call comic books.
If you think of somebody to be interested in this, share this with them. Let them see. I know if somebody out there did something like this, I'd be interested in seeing it. So love to look and see what other people think is cool when it comes to something I'm interested in. And like just this, I got to see a whole bunch of covers I'd never even seen before. And it's fun to share.
Yeah. Everybody loves a countdown. Everybody loves a list.
Right.
That's right. All right.
So thank you for listening to this long-winded episode. We got to know, Jesse, where can people find you?
Oh, well, let me let me just tell you.
Jesse, sure.
Number one, first off, it's been a pleasure to get here and hang out with you guys finally again. But yeah, if you want to listen to me talk about some comic books, comic book storylines, again, Source Material Comics Podcast, just throw that into your podcatcher. Should be able to search up, find our feed right now. Just standalone. We only got a couple episodes, but trust me, if you go over to the Rattlich and Broadcasting network, you can find the other 300 plus that we have in our archive. But yeah, it's just a book club for comics. Pretty much me and a couple other guys, or maybe just myself, get together and talk about comic books and what we enjoyed in the stories. It's usually my show, Source Material, and also Unspoken Issues, which is a 90s comic centric podcast that's in association with the Unspoken Decade, 90s comics. So keep an eye out for much more episodes to come. And again, guys, thank you very much for having me on here.
Thank you for dropping everything and spending your night with us.
Had a fun
Don't
time.
be a stranger. Come back anytime. And we will see you shortly. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
He's Jesse, and I'm Seth. Goodbye forever. Cliff, before you do yours, I want to confirm something. Oh, he doesn't have a seat. Cliff, before you do yours, I want to confirm something.
What's that?
It's number 7.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Why?
Well, because that's not the one that I would expect. And I want to make sure, so there's no, in case there was a double up or anything, I want to make sure you got the right number.
Number 7 you mean on my number 7 on my list?
No, no. You're the next one you're going to say, you're number 5. Try not to reveal it to anybody else.
Okay, yeah.
Is it issue 7?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure, otherwise we were close to having a double up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Number 7.
Punisher War Journal number 6 and number 7 on this. Unbelievable, Cliff. It's a swerve, bro.
I wanted to say that off recording. Now I'm glad we stopped at this moment because I didn't want to record that and give it away. But yeah, you guys will recognize what I'm talking about here in a second. So let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's your friends at Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast, with part 2 of our top 10 comic book covers countdown. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. We got a guest again. He's back. Street Level Starcher. We're going to get kicked right back into this list at number 5 of our favorite covers of all time. Okay, Cliff, hit us with your number 5. That is not it.
That is not it.
Literally why I asked you.
What do you mean?
That's not issue 7. Is it? It does say 7.
It does say
It is
7
issue
right there.
7.
Hold on. Let me double check and make sure what.
When I look it up, that's not 7.
8 is the Flash issue.
I got it right here. It
Oh,
says
if you
7
got it
on
right-
it. Well, when I Googled it, that's not the one I got. And I always know that as issue 6, I thought, as if I fucking know anything. But is that what you meant, Jesse?
Yes, it is. That is exactly what I meant.
Okay, well.
If you've got it right there. Okay.
No, well, we're gonna start this part over. We'll just tell Cliff to hold off until we get to Jesse's. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're starting this over, but I knew it had to be the same cover you guys were talking about. I was like, but I don't know why they're. What does your cover say 7 on it or 6, Jesse?
I'm going to Mike's Amazing World of Comics right now.
I always thought that was issue 6, but I'm not a DC guy and don't know shit about that stuff. But I feel like, but your cover definitely said 7 on it. When I look
Yes,
at
it
7,
did.
Yeah, I got it sitting right here. It
I
says 7
believe
on
you.
it.
I believe you. But when I Googled 7,
Yeah.
it was
6
that
is
one.
the Anti-Monitor.
Okay, that's the one I saw.
7,
Oh, shit.
and then 8 is Barry dying.
Okay.
So then I had.
Jesse was the wrong.
I was the wrong one because, I had. Like, hold on a second, because I know that I went to Mike's Amazing World of Comics and was like,
Well, Mike needs to change his
Mike,
moniker.
come
Mike's
on, bro.
sometimes amazing.
Mike is not amazing at all. Wow. Yeah, there it is. I must have just immediately thought, oh, that's it. That's all it is.
Okay, well, no one will know any of this because we're
Yeah.
I'm going to say, here we go.
There's still some credibility to the source material podcast.
Okay.
I got wrong. No, it's Mike's Amazing World of Comics. I swear.
Yeah. We're going to cut this out because we don't want to be drugged down in the mud with you, Jesse. So.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast at gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.